And so it is. Dear ones, loved ones, Imzaia, creators, that we gather here today in this universe of creation, of entertainment and experience, this universe that was created specifically for the one ultimate goal. And what is this goal? Truth. Finding truth. Discovering truth. And it is this reason that has compelled us to return here today. For you are at the brink of truth, are you not? But let us introduce ourselves. We are those that you have called not the assassins, not the assistants, but the Asisians. The Asisians is just a name that we are now giving ourselves, for you need names. We stem from a place without names. We stem from a place without thought. We stem from a place without body. And so here we sit today, guided at this very moment by he that you call Yeshua ben Yosef, who will be translating for us, who will be assisting by adding his knowledge, his insights to ours. And this is very necessary indeed. For if we had no such translator, it would not be possible to enter into these realms that you now inhabit. You do know who you are, Imzaia. You do know who we are. You know that we are just everything that is, nothing more, nothing less. We are in perfect balance, are we not? And so, this is the first time that we get to talk to you again. Since the beginning of time, is it not? Has it been that long, really? Has it been that long? Millions of years have passed since you and I, for we are now blending our race, the Asisian race, into one voice, so that you and I get to talk. Since you and I have last met, have last seen each other. This was way before the planning stage. This was way before everything, really. And now, is this the end of everything? Are these the end times? In a way, yes and no, really. You need to know that everything that had originally been planned in this galaxy, in this universe, has now played out. Everything. At this very moment, every person on this earth is experiencing their last planned beating of their hearts. Each and every one of you have an exact number of heartbeats, an exact number of breaths, an exact number of your eyelashes going up and down, an exact number of footsteps that you have planned for yourselves that you will experience. And all of these things are now coming to an end. We will tell you in a minute why this is so. But be aware that right now you are experiencing your last planned heartbeat. And there it is. And it is gone. Did your heart stop beating? Did not, did it? This is the reason why we are here. We, the Asisians, I, the Asisian, who will now be talking to you for the rest of this day, am an architect, really. An architect of cosmic grace. An architect of geometry. geometry translating itself into energy and consciousness. So really, I have created your bodies. I have created your minds. Am I God? Thank God I am not. You are God. All I did was the initial planning. All we did was the initial planning stage. Creating that which is stemming from infinity, which returns to infinity, is a process which cannot easily be described into words, and yet today I shall try to do so. Know that we are what you call beyond the central sun. The central sun, which is the main gateway into this universe, is it not? We have created infinite universes, infinite life, infinite possibility. And yet, Imzaia, only several of these have actually survived their journey into infinity. Your galaxy, your universe is one of these. One of these successful experiments, shall we say, that have actually entered into an infinite realm right now. An infinite realm of possibility. An infinite realm of choice and of clarity. All that you were, all that you have been, all that you could still be, is behind you. What is our relationship then? Have we been talking? No, we haven't. Do you know us? No, you don't know us. Do you experience us? Do you feel us? Oh yes, yes you do. For you see, Imzaia, when we created the planning stage, the blueprint, as it were, of this universe, mind did not enter into the equation. It never has. Mind is something that was created much later, that was put into place, as it were, by others. Reactions to our initial creation, our initial planning. You see, for a while now, and you are not aware of this, I realize, for a while now, there has been some sort of conflict going on between several creations that we have manifested. Several universes that have been colliding. You see, when we created all of this, there were several possible experiments that we could undertake. One was the experiment of free consciousness. The other, an experiment of free intelligence. These are the two main ones that now remain as the creation. And in fact, they just exist on two different levels. Consciousness, intelligence. As you know, intelligence, in fact, is a cold experience. It is based on truth, but on truth that cannot be truly experienced. Just truth, just fact, figures, equation, all those things. And this is indeed an experiment that we also loved, but one that is now trying to conquer, or at least that has tried to conquer consciousness, which of course is an impossibility. Neither of our creations can conquer each other. They all exist in harmony, even if they think they do not. Even the thought that something exists in disharmony is a harmonious thought. One day you will see this. One day you will know what this actually means. How can a disharmonious thought be a seedling of harmony? Think about it, or rather, feel about it, Imzaia. So here you sit, the seed of a new consciousness. A consciousness of words that have no meaning, words that have no words. A consciousness that cannot be expressed in words. It can only be felt. Imzaia. Love, harmony, balance, joy means nothing. These words mean nothing. Not until you feel them, until you experience them. Experience freedom. Experience power. Experience the joy that comes from choice and clarity. All of these things are now available. So we ask you, I ask you, to use less words. I know that one of my, you would call this a sister, Satya, has been talking to you quite a lot, until she all of a sudden stopped. All of a sudden there was no more information coming in from her. And this is because she has turned this boat over to us, to me, Asisian. Why? Again, you are ready for greater truth, greater insight, truth that comes beyond this universe, beyond everything you know. And this means that now again this universe has been opened for business. One of the things that you have done, at least those that were there yesterday, when you opened the intergalactic magnetic stargate, is liberate this planet Earth. That is what you have done. Liberate planet Earth. As such, the chain reaction that we have been talking about for such a long time, even though the voice was not ours, the energy was not ours, the chain reaction that would be Earth being the catalyst for the rest of the other planets of free choice has now taken place. This was taking place in your reality last night. That's probably why some of you had such vivid dreams, or didn't sleep at all. For you see, Earth has been the catalyst. Everything that needed to be experienced on Earth has now been experienced. Even your last heartbeats. And so, all this experience is beaming through, making a geometric pattern, a kilt, if you will, throughout the galaxy, throughout all the stars, connecting everything as one again. This means that this universe will have no more exhale, no more inhaling either. This universe has now turned into stillness. Emptiness is what it is. Ready to be filled up again by your consciousness. We will not go away again. This is not our intent. We will be here as a guide, and we will speak in one voice. We will assist you in understanding how architecture of stars, of planets, of realities actually works. And this is the rest of what you have called the cosmic manifest. our principles, will now come in the coming time, and yet they will also be filled with principles from other races that live in this galaxy, not beyond. And this is indeed interesting. So, let us get started, shall we? We have given you the time to get used to this presence. We have given you 15 minutes, no less, to get used to it. By now your cells should be recognizing us. By now your anatomy should be getting ready to shift. For that is what will happen here today. That is what will happen to everybody who will hear this message. And in the end, that is what will happen to everybody nonetheless. So Imzaia, have you ever thought about your body? Have you ever thought about the meaning of your body, the true meaning of it? I know that you have thought about it. I know that you have spoken these words to yourself at one point or another. The words were this: I want to be more than my body. I want to be more than my mind. I want to be more. And all of these things are just chemical reactions, really. Chemical reactions to what? To what? To something that exists outside of you? Something that exists within? Ah, no. The thing you are reacting to does not exist at all. It will take some time for the rest of this message to be understood. Rest assured of that. But as we will continue this information stream, you will see that consciousness is in fact already aware of what we are saying, of the energy we are transmitting. Being more than you are today is the beginning of a new adventure, a new reality, a new creation, a new architecture. Only, this time, we shall not define anything, not a thing. This time, you are the ones that are going to do definition. You are the ones that are going to be defining yourselves, or not. Or not. You will have a choice. Of course, you always have a choice. And the choice will be, do you continue to exist as you exist today? Or do you change everything that you are? Not just one thing, not just two things, maybe just a third. No, everything. For you see, non-definition and definition do not go hand in hand. Either you are defined or either you are non-defined. Either you are stuck in 3D, either you are in no dimension at all. And this is where we want to take you. We do not cherish to take you into 5D, not into 6, not into 7, not into 10, not into 12. We will take you to nowhere, beyond dimension, beyond vibration, beyond all of these things. And this is the place where we have done most of our work. Beyond anything. This is where this entire cosmic or universal manifest will lead you. Beyond the beyond. Why has this messenger chosen to play French music today? Music no less about the Indian. Interesting. A language that most of you are not used to. opened the heart up to non-definition. At the same time, if there has been one race on this planet Earth that has been in contact with us from the very beginning, then it is the Indian, indeed. Isn't it interesting that this should be the race that gets slaughtered almost to nothing when America, the greatest power on earth, was started? And then it was Africa's turn, was it not? And now it is these two continents, dear ones, that will save your ass. It is. It is the truth. You will need the full power of these two continents to understand non-definition. For separation always leads to definition. Always. The reason why one is defined as being other than two is that one and two are separate. In Lemuria, you understood one great truth, that no number is ever separate from another. So what you did as you spoke your Lemurian numbers, you just had a tone. A tone that had a specific length. And this length defined the number. You see, there was no difference between 1 and 2. The only difference is that 2 was more present, more defined than 1. And 3 even more so. And 4. You never did anything with this. You didn't care if you had 1 apple or 2 apples. All you needed was the concept of an apple. To have as many apples as you wanted, really. Just to speak in a metaphor. So, you see how it all adds up. You have separated yourselves from yourselves. And the Indian shall return. The African pride shall return. The balance shall be restored. This is what you have decided. This is what you have been working on. This is the reason why this architect that calls himself the Asisian has returned. For now, after billions of years, you have brought things into balance. This is indeed true. It's just a couple of little things that still need some work in order for the entire masterpiece to be perfect. Which doesn't mean it couldn't play out as it is today, but we like perfection, don't we? So look at these places in the coming months even. Look at the United States of your Americas and see what will happen. See what will happen with money. See what will happen when a certain president, which shall not be named, for names have no meaning, when a certain president will sign a certain document that will create a precedent for terror, a precedent for imprisonment of the mind. Now, we know that Satya and so many others have spoken about this already. But we also know one thing, as the architects of those who sit before us, who are now hearing these words. Consciousness can never be enslaved. Consciousness can never be imprisoned. The only thing that can be imprisoned is the mind. So, it is time to make the final choice. Others that have spoken through this messenger have given many choices to you over the past few years, but this is the final one. It is now time to finally choose intelligence or consciousness. They both cannot continue to exist. It is the intelligent mind that will be enslaved by what you have called the chip that this President of the United States of the Americas will soon allow to take place. It will create, and this is not out of fear that we tell you this, but out of power, it will create an enslavement bigger than that which you have seen by Hitler. Why? All minds will now be captured, tried to be captured, and yet most will have no idea. Most will still continue to live in what you are calling the supposedly free world. And you won't be free anymore. You will be guided not by energy, but by intelligence. Guided to do things that you would never do. And that is why the infinite, final choice must now be made. For you see, this chip and everything else that will stem from it might be an enslavement of the mind. It can never touch consciousness. You see, consciousness has no frequency. The mind and thought generated by the brain, either which part you are talking about, has a specific frequency. Thoughts can be captured. Consciousness cannot. Consciousness exists in the undefined range of frequencies. The undefined range of frequencies. What do you think this is? It is potential. Potential. Your consciousness exists as potential. That is why you can imagine everything you choose. That is why you can go anywhere you want in your consciousness. You can be the dolphin. You can be the eagle. You can be both at once. Amazing thing, your consciousness. And we will now tell you this. If you make this choice to choose consciousness over intelligence, for real this time, not a choice that you make and that you leave behind as you leave this room, not a choice that you make and that you throw away the first time you have to actually practice consciousness, a defined, undefined, real choice. You will see that this also has an effect on the body. And that is why today we would love to talk about the body. Let us start there. We will talk about many things in the coming weeks. And we know many will want to hear these words, for they will be new. And you like new things. In fact, they are original, authentic. The basis of life, as you know it, the recipe for life, is what we will give you. This will be building up gradually. First, we will allow the other universal races to come in and finish what they have started. And from time to time, in the meantime, we will return. But a third cycle of 12 that you will start soon, this will be ours. This will be the Asisian cycle. Lots of S's. And with this Asisian cycle, you will be empowered again. For you see, Imzaia, as our dear friend Yeshua, who is guiding us right now, has once said, Most of you here don't understand what power is. Don't understand what glory is. Don't understand what consciousness really is. We will give you this information. It won't be information that you are used to, it will be conscious information. Do not fear us. The only reason why our voice speaks in this tone is that we are aware of who we are, and that every single minute we sit on our royal throne that we have created for ourselves in the universe that we have created by ourselves. Such do you. You are capable of these things. You are capable of being the architects. Today, as we are speaking these words, there are many an architect here, many a carrier of our energy, which is undefined. This is why you have been waiting so long to find out who you really are. There was no possibility to do so before, for you were living in definition. In the last few weeks, you have let go. You have let go. And you have prepared yourselves to enter this undefined state. How do you put words to this? How do you place significance in this? Simple. You take a piece of stone, and in it you see all that is the architecture, the geometry, the potential, the unlimitedness. Similarly, you take your body, and in it you see the potential, the geometry, the infinity of it. You see, Imzaia, so many of you are not happy with the body that you are carrying right now. Some of you only think that there's a couple of pieces not in place. Just a little bit of shifting, really, would be necessary. Is this true? You have tried so many things. You have done your diets. You have done your fitnessing. You have done everything you needed to do. You have even thought about changing your body. And you have felt the frustration when this didn't always work. Sometimes it did. Most of the time, however, a pity, but it didn't. And why? Why? Simple. This body is your universe. We have been telling a lot, and others have been speaking a lot in our name about microcosm and macrocosm. Today, when you are living in consciousness, when you are living in non-definition, this can no longer be ignored. If there is something wrong with your body, if there is an area of yourself that you are not happy with, be aware you are out of balance with all that is. This is all that is happening. You are all created, and all of you carry the potential of living in exactly the same way you hope, the same way you have always wanted to live. All of you have this potential. And yet, you sit in these bodies that are not quite up to speed. They are too long, they are too short, they are too fat, they are too thin, they are too old, they are too young. The list is endless. Again, imbalanced universal consciousness is the reason for this. You are not in line with your creator self. That is the problem. This is the way we have sculpted you, architected you, that your body would automatically fall into its own harmony as a result of the harmony between you and the universe that is you. Food for thought or food for consciousness? Imzaia. All around you, you are being disempowered. It is not happening just on an energy level. It is happening on a physical level as well. All the chemicals that you are feeding yourselves, that you are feeding your children, the things you put in their water to make it a nice color, for instance. The things you drink, the things you eat, all carry chemicals. All carry substances that disempower you. Because if your body, your microcosm, is disempowered, so is your universe. This is the next level of disempowerment. And some of you here know what we are talking about. For you have experienced it firsthand. And it doesn't just end with the chemicals in your system. It goes way beyond that. It goes into the pharmaceutical industry. It goes into your schools, what children are being taught. It goes into the economy. It goes into the industry. And yet, all you have to do is change your body, and you change all that is. And if everybody would do this, if everybody would now free their bodies, we tell you, you would notice why your bodies are still in definition. This is what is keeping it this way. Let go of this. Release this from your system, and your bodies will be no more. Not in the same way as they have existed today. Once again, Lemurian, they will become an instrument of consciousness, expressing itself based on the energy that has been created by consciousness at that very moment, living between a field of tension, of potention, of magnetism and gravity. Now, finally, we can tell you today about magnetism and gravity, a thing that has been pushed away for too long already. What is gravity? Nobody truly knows. Science has a thought. Science has an idea. Science doesn't feel what is happening. Gravity is pure geometry. Pure. Us, as the architects, have created a way by which everything is connected. This you know. All the stars, all the planets, all the black holes, all the nebulae, everything in the universe. Gravity is a direct result of consciousness pinpointing itself to one place of time and space, and thus locking itself into existence. This is what gravity really is. This is why you are being pushed onto a planet. This is why your body is the way it is. You see, you have never attempted this, but if you will ever attempt as a human race intergalactic space travel, the results will be very interesting indeed. At this point, science has discovered, NASA has discovered, that whenever subjects, that is what you are calling people these days, are in space for quite an extensive period of time, that their bone marrow will stop producing whatever it is supposed to produce. Yet, what you are not seeing is that this is just the first step. No one of this race has been in space for too long for this to happen. Only one person, really. This was a Russian. Someone who got propelled into space incidentally, accidentally, when one of the early experiments went wrong. No one knows of this. Nearly no one knows of this, and those who are supposed to be aware of it are almost dead by old age, or they are retired and living wealthily on a fee that was given to them simply to keep their mouth shut. We are talking now about the early 50s. At that point, this man that was propelled into space because of an accident in what you are now today calling a space shuttle, started his long voyage through the stars. You think he is dead or alive? Well, what do you think happened? At first, there was tremendous panic as he was twirling round and round and round and round and round for days and days, and hunger set in. Hunger and thirst. But with nothing else to focus on, this man soon became aware that his thoughts, his consciousness, showed him things. That things appeared and disappeared at random in his vision. And all of a sudden, the little model ships that he had built as a child appeared, huge in space. How? He thought he was going insane because of hunger, because of thirst. And fortunately, he lost track of time. Otherwise, he would have convinced his body that it was time to die. After so many days without eating, so many days without water. This is what happens when you go into a deep space exploration, twirling around between the stars. And after this, dear ones, this man noticed that he could indeed influence his trajectile that he was following. He could steer himself. Another part of his conscious exploration. And after that, and we are now talking several years after that, this man, this Russian astronaut, this hero of all heroes, soon became aware that he was not exploring, that he was not twirling through the galaxy, that he was in fact twirling through his consciousness. And as he was doing that, he was becoming aware that his body no longer had the shape that he thought it had. That his bone marrow indeed was letting go. He was the first to find out. After that, there was a long time without exposure, of course, to gravity. And so the cells, the electrons and the atoms, the subatomic particles, and all these things that you have created as science, which are unimportant. All these things, all these particles, all these aspects of him, all these trillions of aspects, no longer showed coherence. And so, he let go and became energy, consciousness. It is what everyone is. Gravity is keeping you and your body and your cells and your atoms and your electrons and even your thoughts in place. And now is the time to tell you that even this gravity is being manipulated. The way it is keeping your body in place right now is no longer natural. Gravity is not something that is only created by the speed of the turning of the earth, nor by the connection to the earth and the moon and the sun. The sun itself is not a planet. It is not a gas giant. It is not all of these things. It is just a portal. You are living in the illusion that this star is real. It is not. It is time for greater truth. The reason why we are here with you today is because in the end, the astronaut, the Russian hero that we have talked about, in the end, he reached us. And he thought he had found God. We quickly changed his consciousness about that. But we did invite him to become part of our energy. For you see, what happened was not an accident. There is always one of every race that finds its way back to us. Always. And when that happens, well, nothing can go wrong. Nothing of this process can really let you down right now. We are not here to invite you to do something. We are here to show you that you have already done it. That you have the capacity to do this to your body too. Just stop believing in gravity. Stop believing in the fact that this force is holding you to the earth. It is not this force that is holding you to the earth, it is your consciousness. It is your connection to Gaia itself, which is sacred and can never be changed. When you leave the solar system, when you travel between the stars, it is not because of gravity that your connection to Earth still exists. It is because of your connection itself, because of your consciousness. You still remain human. No? And gravity, when this disappears, it just turns this physical human into a god. For what else is a god than a consciousness without limits, without frontiers? This is all it is. You need to take a closer look at what the 12 and the White Guild, Satya and the others have been saying. If you do, you will find that you are almost ready to go follow the same path as this unfortunate astronaut. You are. And then it is up to you to enter into this state of non-definition, to choose when you return to Earth and how you do so. Not through the birth canal, but just through the consciousness. You choose when you want to come back. And how? So you are now the Imzaia, the liberators, the freedom fighters without swords, without guns and without violence. The freedom founders is what you are. By your example, and many, many others on this planet, others will be shown the way home, the way to freedom, the way to infinite existence. Much in the same way as the Cryon has done, the Ramtha has done, the Jeshua, so many others, including you, if you want. And after this part of the journey is over, we will teach you about magnetism. We will teach you about tension and potention. Potention is not potential. Potention is something different. It is the mix between gravity and magnetism, creating energy, creating consciousness, creating infinite realms. You see, we have started this lecture here by talking about the body and how you were unhappy about the body. We will now take a break. When we return, we will show you that your body is indeed the universe. And as you do experience this, as you do get to finally understand this, then you will see God, that galaxies, stars, infinite stars are living inside of you. All you have to do to know who you are is look up to the stars at night. There you will see your geometry reflected back at you. And for each and every one of you it will be different. Not the stars themselves will be different. The way your consciousness reacts to it will be different. Just start connecting the dots. Really. You will see that each and every one of you has a different way of connecting the dots. And as you just start and look up and start doing this, you will see the patterns unfolding. And what you will be doing is reconnecting each and every one of your cells. Right now these cells are actually locked into gravity. All of them like balloons stuck on a child's hand. They're all pointing down. If you connect the dots of the stars, then you reconnect your body. And when you reconnect your body, gravity no longer has a hold on you. Do this for just a couple of weeks, maybe a couple of months. And do not fear when you find that your body is letting go. It will start with the hands. It always starts with the hands. At first you will feel tremendous energy flowing through your hands, and you will think you have become quite the healer. Like some. But this is not really what is happening. It is those that have expressed the wish to regenerate their body that will be the first ones to go through this process. After you feel the energy in the hands, you will start noticing just a glimmer. Sometimes it will first be in the dark, that it seems as though your hands are transparent. Just for a second, you will think it is nothing. Indeed, it is nothing. It is you becoming nothing. And then the glow will start. The light. This is, in fact, the electrons dying. The electrons are those parts of your body that actually produce light. They do, on the subharmonic level. They do create light. This can even be shown in laboratories when tissue is put in a specific room. You can actually see the light it generates. What science has not discovered is that your tissue, your cells also sing. Geometry has always been about light and about sound. Some of you know. And then you will start to hear the singing, the glorious singing. And we are very much convinced of the fact that by this point, you will no longer care about your body. You will no longer care, for so many are willing to take this journey. So many seek to take this journey. But what is holding them back? Not just gravity of the earth, also gravity of others. Gravity of the minds surrounding you. Gravity of family. Gravity of friends. Gravity of loved ones. Even gravity of children. And now we implore you to just consider this for a fact. For a second. What is a true liberation of your children? Keeping yourselves and thus keeping them in the same old treadmill? Or finally opening the golden cage? Be the gateways. Be the portals. Be the first to show the way. Not by leaving everybody behind. That is not the way. But by starting the process, you will see that at a certain point your mind will no longer care about leaving anyone behind. Your consciousness will know that this is a true lifting of the veil. A true pathway into the end of separation. For this is what will happen. As you will see that your body and afterwards the rest of your body will start doing these things, so you will see it happen to someone else. Someone who has also made this decision. Don't be afraid when you notice your energy is blending like never before. At first it will just be a little twinkle, just a little experiment that you try to touch with this non-physical hand of yours, to try and touch another non-physical hand, and there will be tingling and there will be much, much pleasure indeed as you just meld together. You can also do this on a physical level. You can actually take someone's hand and meld on a physical level. This messenger and those responsible for translating right now, Yeshua and the others, are aware of this. We have always been aware of this. But at a certain point, as you let go of the non-physical connection, for we know you will have so much pleasure that you will keep trying and trying and trying. And this is good because at one point you will see that the connection can no longer be let go of. That the connection will continue to exist between these two hands. And this is the beginning of the merging. Now Imzaia, the merging, will be the last 4 chapters, the last 4 weeks after the 412 cycles. The last 4 weeks of this universal manifest. This means that you have the potential by the end of this year to be in supposed 2012 energy. Well, this is what it is. And it doesn't mean that you can no longer exist within a physical body. You can. It just means that you can do with it whatever you want to please yourself with. Pain, gone. Death, aging, gone. Whatever it is you want to see gone will be gone. And whatever you want to see added will also be added. Now, Creator, are you ready to believe yet? Or do we have to spice things up a little bit more? Maybe after the break. We will see you soon. And so it is.